Food bloggers, hi, how are you today? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Eat Blog Talk podcast. This is the place for food bloggers to get information and inspiration to accelerate your blog's growth and ultimately help you to achieve your freedom, whether that's financial, personal, or professional. I'm Megan Porta. I have been a food blogger for 13 years, so I understand how isolating food blogging can be. I'm on a mission to motivate, inspire, and most importantly, let each and every food blogger, including you, know that you are heard and supported. If you are looking for some really unique, really cool ways to monetize your business outside of advertising, this episode is going to give you so many ideas. Chris de la Rosa from Caribbean Pot joins me in the episode to talk about 7 really unique ways to monetize your business. He talks about doing branded partnerships in a really cool way. He talks through ways that he offers digital products to his audience and physical products. And I'm going to leave a few of them for you to learn about during the episode. You're going to love this one. It is episode number 584, sponsored by RankIQ. Food bloggers, have you experienced traffic loss after the recent Google updates? Are you feeling confused about how to move forward? I get it. I have been a food blogger for nearly 14 years, and I've been through the ringer with industry changes and business changes. You name it, I have been there. When I look back over my tough times, the thing that pulled me out of slumps and traffic loss and disappointment was always people. We need each other right now more than ever. You are in this food blogging game for the long haul. I know you are. And that means you need to find people to collaborate with, to connect with, and to learn from. Eat Blog Talk has 2 great options for you coming up: the 2025 Eat Blog Talk Mastermind groups and in-person retreats. We are now taking applications for the 2025 Mastermind groups. This year, we're splitting the groups in 2. It'll be intermediate and advanced and beginner. We also lower the price to accommodate traffic and revenue dips a lot of us are experiencing. Apply now, as the first 4 people let into the group will receive 20% off the whole year. Go to eatblogtalk.com/mastermind to apply today. And there are still a few spots remaining for the 2024 fall retreat, which is also discounted this year due to revenue loss for so many. Join us in October in Minnesota. It is my favorite time of year here in Minnesota for 3 incredible days filled with laughter, great food, tons of learning and connecting, and honestly, they're just so much fun. You will not regret attending this retreat. Head over to eatblogtalk.com/retreat to apply for that today. I hope to see you in one or both of those spots. I can't wait for the next 12 months and to see all of your businesses explode. And trust me, having those people in your corner is going to help. Chris de la Rosa is the founder of CaribbeanPot.com, a platform dedicated to exploring the vibrant culinary culture of the Caribbean. Although his roots trace back to Trinidad and Tobago, Chris's goal is to showcase recipes from all the enchanting islands that contribute to the rich tapestry of Caribbean cuisine. Through his website, social media channels, and YouTube videos, Chris shares the authentic flavors, techniques, and stories that make Caribbean food so special. Chris, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I am great. It is summertime and, I love the heat. Thanks for having me, Megan.
Oh, so happy to have you here. And I'm excited for our chat today. Before we get into unique ways to monetize outside of ads, do you have a fun fact to share with us today?
Yeah, and this may come across as a little bit strange to a few people, but culturally, Caribbean men, we don't smile. And only in my adult years did I learn to smile doing online content. Growing up, my mom would always say, "You guys look vexed." And vex is, we're angry. Speaking to my brother and I, she should always complain about that. And the beauty about learning to smile and smiling is that it's opened up so many doors for me. A simple thing like a smile just engages people so much. And people become more receptive to just about anything that I share.
Oh my gosh, that is the coolest fun fact ever. I love that. And I was just looking at your blog and you have a lovely smile. So it's so inviting. So I'm glad
Thank you so much.
glad you learned to smile. Oh, that's so great. Okay, I'm super excited to chat with you. First, I would love for you to give a little bit of a background on your blog because it is so unique. It's so beautiful. There's so much passion intertwined. I can just see it and feel it. So tell us a little bit about your blog.
CaribbeanPot.com. I started that back in 2009 as a means of documenting recipes for my daughters. While they are 100% Canadian, our kitchen reflects that of the Caribbean, my heritage. And I did all the cooking. So, while and it's not necessarily a complaint. I understand why. Caribbean culinary culture, like most older cultures, they were passed on verbally and never written down. So there was never any written recipes for them. So I started the blog CaribbeanPod.com to document those recipes. And because of the effort I put in there, this passion that you spoke about and you saw, it became a sort of an online portal for everyone across the globe to tune in to get those recipes. So what started off as something very personal, and this is why when you go through the website, you will see it's very diary-like, very conversational and all that. It was something very personal for my daughters. And that grew into something that, a lot of people tune into now.
Yeah, well, amazing. I love that you started so long ago. So you've got a history with blogging and content creation. So you have some real value to add to this space too, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's talk through some ways to monetize outside of ads. This is a huge and very relevant topic right now because there are all those people who either have ads and they've seen a decline in traffic, or maybe they're waiting to get into an ad network and they want something to kind of supplement their income. So you have some ideas for them, Chris.
Yeah, most definitely. And after every sort of YouTube, Google change, and we see traffic drop and everything else, we all kind of like scramble to figure out where's the money going to come from? Because for most of us, this is our bread and butter. This is how we pay the mortgage and everything else. And one of the, I have a few of them, and one of them is branded partnerships and sponsorships, and over the years I've developed this sort of way of working with other brands, especially anything relating to food and travel and all those things, collaborating with those brands. It could be something like culinary equipment. It could be, like a product that I use every day. So any sort of branded partnership and sponsorships, again, it must fall within what I do. And you must not, I try my best never to lead my audience wrong. I'm always aware of what I recommend to people. So it has to be a good fit, and it has to be something that I would use, whether it's a specific brand of spices, whether it is a co-branded event. It must all fall within what Caribbean Pot has built its base on.
Yeah, it has to be aligned for sure in order for it to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how do you go about doing that? I know this is a really lucrative option for some people, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it does require some time investment and some patience. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think one of the first things you need to do is to create that sort of calling card with your stats and what you bring to the table, and have that in a spot on your website where these sponsors, they're out there looking for you. So once you have that calling card on there, whether it's a 1-page or a 2-page PDF with your stats and what you bring to the table, your audience and everything else, chances are someone's going to find it sooner or later too. But more importantly, what I've learned is that finding someone whose specific role is to find and secure those branded deals. I like, one of the things my mentor taught me is that focus on the things that you're good at and pay others to do the things you're not so good at. And I wasn't good at connecting with those branded sponsors. So I hired someone to go out to act on my behalf and engage those brands. We create a list of brands we want to speak to every month, and we go through a checklist. We contact those people and we get feedback. Maybe, sometimes it's at the end of their advertising season. Maybe their budget is almost over, but don't think only today. Think next year, think the year after, and don't always go after the money. Sometimes you need to figure out what they're looking for in branded partnerships. So, having that calling card and hiring people to work on your behalf. I know, some people are even they're part. YouTube. I think it was released a program not too long ago, maybe about 2 weeks, about 2 3 weeks ago. I was contacted by them, where they have an in-house program where you can bid on deals with brands. So those are the sort of ways that you connect with brands.
Okay, that gives us some good ideas. And then when you decided to hire this out, which I think is a fantastic idea, I do not hear of that often, hiring this specific thing out. Where did you go for that? Where do you even look?
It is tough. I'll be honest with you, Megan. It's not easy finding someone. And the unfortunate thing about the industry is that people in our community here, we don't truly act as a community, because we tend to think in the Caribbean, we say crabs in a barrel, where we're all trying to pull each other down rather than help each other to the top of the barrel kind of thing. We don't share this sort of information. So it was tough. It is tough to find these people, but sometimes you speak to other creators, and on the rare occasion they share with you. Coincidentally, the person that I'm working with now, she used to work for a food app. And I had to work with them closely. She left and she started her own business. I reached out to her. And while it wasn't specifically the type of business she was looking for, the type of business she wanted to generate, after having that conversation with her, she came on board and she started working with me.
Okay. So, I mean, like you said, it's hard. So keep your eyes open. Maybe ask trusted peers for connections to be made, that sort of thing.
I did say that we don't communicate in our community. We tend to not share as much as we can. But you're so correct. Peers, even if they say no and they're hesitant to help you, maybe that's fine. But move on to your other sort of contact, and you put the word out there that you're looking for help.
Yeah, exactly. And it might come your way. Okay, anything else on landing branded partnerships and sponsorships?
Just be true to yourself. I see too many times people I follow, especially on Instagram and TikTok, they do brand deals with completely doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
And I can tell you for a fact that they didn't research the company at all. They didn't research the product, because the lure of that, whatever money was offered to them, when you have zero income coming in, or limited income coming in, and then you get a little payday, you're like, right, I'm going to jump on this. But try not to sell your soul. Try to be honest to yourself, be honest to your audience as well too. Because at the end of the day, if you're not genuine, it does show, and you will lose that sort of following that you have.
Yeah, you'll lose that trust.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. What else do you have, Chris, for ways to monetize outside of ads?
Coming from the story that I started off with, there with no cookbooks, anything written as far as Caribbean culinary culture is concerned, one of the big things and the main earners for me has been digital products and online courses. While I did self-publish my first cookbook, The Vibrant Caribbean Pot, back in 2006, I think it was, people are spoiled. People wanted that sort of free shipping that Amazon gives people. And not just free shipping, but, overnight, in 24 hours, you have it on your doorstep. Unfortunately, I can't do that. So what I went, not only did I self-publish, but I created digital products as well, the digital version of the cookbook. And every 6 months, I'm trying to release a new digital cookbook as well. And there's no overhead after you've spent the money on a designer, on an editor, all those things. But then after that, it's all profit after that. And it's so easy. People, it's not like before where people are not accustomed to using digital products. They're very much in tune with digital products. So creating those digital products, and to date, I have 3 of them. One of them won a Gourmand Award, which is like an Oscar for cookbooks. And the other thing is online courses. I'm speaking from a food perspective, but just about any sort of niche that you're in, you can create digital products, whether it's an online course or a how to or whatever it is. There's the need for it out there.
Yeah. So with your ebooks, you said you create a new ebook approximately every 6 months.
That is correct. And that mindset started at the start of 2024, because the prior to that I had the physical cookbook, which became a PDF, which I sold. But starting January of 2024, I have so many recipes. I have over 1,500 recipes on caribbeanpod.com. And here's the beauty about it, Megan. I'm taking the same content that I have on the website and repurposing it, dancing it. I am adding new images to it, and then hiring staff to come in and create that cookbook for me. So it's pretty much the same content, just I'm putting it in a different format for people.
Repurposing
Yeah.
is so efficient and wonderful, isn't it? How do you kind of package your topics together? So you take topics from your site. How do you decide how to package them so that they sell in ebook format?
I look at the videos. I use, and this is where I use my YouTube statistics. For instance, I noticed that during the fall months, my soup recipes, the views on my soup recipes and engagement do really well. So that is how I started, and I wanted to publish a soup cookbook. So that is the soup season, Caribbean comfort food in a bowl. I started working on that for the cold months. Like, I had plans to create a barbecue cookbook to release in June for the barbecue season. And unfortunately, I had to drop back on that. And I'm working now on one for Christmas, which gives me enough time. So looking at the stats from my YouTube videos, I see what videos are doing good, what topics are doing good. And I use that information to create my cookbook. So while I missed out on the barbecue season this year, it's a bit too late now for it. I'm going to have that ready for early June. I'm also going to have one which I'm going to be calling Sips, which is going to be all about summertime drinks that we enjoy in the Caribbean. So all those exotic fruits that you see out there, I'm going to use those and package it into a cookbook for late spring of next year as well.
I love that you think ahead. You said this earlier too. So it's not just like, oh gosh, I'm too late. Never mind. I can't focus on summer or spring recipes. No, you can focus on those for next year and you'll be ahead of schedule, right?
Exactly. And that is key, always planning ahead. And we're all into this whole new technology out there about AI and stuff like that. And I'm going to piggyback off that. Maybe we can have a conversation about that at some point. But the future, always look down the road. And this is why earlier when I spoke about the sponsorships and the brand deals, don't only think about what they can do now. They may say no now. The brand may say no now, but they have next year and they have the following year. Try to get an idea of which direction they're heading and anticipate that. And then, you can circle back.
Yeah, the future is ripe with opportunity. Don't take a no as no, period, right? Like maybe just not now, not yet. Love that perspective. And I also love how you look into your YouTube statistics to see what people are engaging with. I think that is so smart. Now, if somebody doesn't have an active YouTube channel, I would guess they could just use Google Analytics or another platform to see what people are really enjoying.
Most definitely. I know from time to time, I still peek at my Instagram statistics and stuff like that. TikTok, I'm relatively new to the TikTok game because I came on board pretty late, and it's a sort of a learning curve for me and stuff like that, because the dynamic on there is totally different than the other social media platforms. But there is information out there, and you can use common sense as well. Christmas is coming up. Of course, people are going to be searching Christmas recipes, holiday recipes, all those different things. Easter, we've got Thanksgiving, we've got spring. And January, for instance, everybody makes these commitment to live healthier and change their diet, and they're more into smoothies and salads and all those different things. So you have those things out there. You just got to kind of tune into it and create those, like ebooks in my case, to cater to those.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anything else about digital products before we move on, Chris?
No, just I do have one point actually. When you hire staff, make sure that they're able to put your vision into place into the same way people look at my website, they look at me on YouTube or Instagram or everywhere else. I want my cookbook to have that sort of energy as well, whether it is from a graphic design standpoint or how it's edited, all those different things. You can go to, like, I believe it's called freelancer.com, and you can, post your project on there and have people bid on it, and, go through the bids and make sure that these, and ask for examples. They must have examples of work they've done before as well, too.
Yeah, that's really great, solid advice. Okay, what else do you have for ways to monetize?
We've been testing something. We've been receiving samples, and it is more physical products like aprons, cooking utensils, cookware. I had my team, and when I say team, my assistant, reach out to a few companies who design pots. And I have, if you're in the space and you're using pots every day, of course you have ideas on how to design a pot that you would be happy with, that you see benefits of using, and you're happy to put your name on it. So, the other ways is like physical products. In my case, it could be aprons. It could be something simple as my logo on an apron, or you spoke about my smile earlier. Maybe, who knows, maybe my smile sells.
I love it.
Yeah, you move on, and then in my case here, I can do spice blends because unfortunately we have a terrible, terrible sort of record with high blood pressure, diabetes, all those different things in our community. And even in Canada, in the United States, I see the numbers every day. So changing up those spice blends and everything else where it's lower in sodium and more healthy for you, that's the sort of avenue I'm gravitating towards. Sauces, you know it's like everybody has a sauce coming out, a hot sauce, or as we say in the Caribbean, pepper sauce. It's one word. Those are the sort of areas I can tap into if I wanted to, because I have the audience. It's just creating these products and being able to efficiently get it out to the customer and them being happy with it.
Hello, food bloggers. Are you looking to spice up your social media account with unique and exciting content? If you want that secret edge that makes you stand out in your niche, I might have the answer for you. Katarina can help you streamline your podcasting and social media content with audio editing, video editing, or social media strategies. She specializes in working with food bloggers, tailoring her content creation packages to their needs. Whether you want to create something new, like a gripping podcast, or if you want to refresh your social media strategies by creating scroll-stopping video content for platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, she has got you covered. If this sounds intriguing, get in touch with Katarina. Go to eatblogtalk.com/resources to get more information about Katarina's services. Again, go to eatblogtalk.com/resources and click on her link. Now let's get back to the episode. Food content creators have so many ideas in this area. I feel like the hard part is figuring out which products to make or to have created. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so many different routes we could go.
Yeah, the execution part of it can be a bit challenging. And, we've encountered that as well, too, because here's the other part of it is sometimes cross-border shipping can be a bit tricky if it's for sauces and spices and all that, because at the end of the day, you have to meet the standards to be able to ship internationally and all those things. So people just got to be mindful of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's so many things. I mean, so many routes you could go with that. We are full of ideas when it comes to creating something physical. Is there anything that you've created physical that has worked really well?
Outside of the cookbooks, no. And it's only because I'm bringing on my manager the early part of this year. Our focus has been more on products and the product development, because the sort of execution, as like I spoke about earlier there, it can be costly sourcing and having the right ingredients and everything else, and it has to be lab tested. Some of the stuff have to be lab tested and all that. So I haven't. But about 6 years ago, I did print T-shirts with just the CaribbeanPot.com logo on the front, a black T-shirt. And you won't believe how many people, when they saw me
Oh,
on camera, and that's the beauty about it. On camera, I can advertise it as well, right? So if I wore the apron, if I did my spices, I can include it in my recipes, and it sells itself. But because that T-shirt was so requested, I did end up selling, I think, was about 100 or
oh, wow.
150 of
Oh my
them.
gosh.
I think it was within 1 week or something. But again, the work involved in packaging it and shipping it out and stuff like that. Because in Canada, when we have to ship something down to the US, we have to fill out a customs declaration. Back then, it was written. There was nothing digital. You couldn't go on a computer and just import data into a field. Now you can, but there was so much work that you know what? Let's do the 150, and that's the end of it. And the beauty about having a number like 150 is people attempted to buy. Once you see all we have is 150, and this message is going out. And back then my mailing list was 65,000 people, so the numbers, people were just rushing to buy it, right?
So
Yeah,
lots of demand.
yeah, you create
Yeah.
that demand.
That's awesome. And I love that you just advertised it yourself by wearing it in your own video. That's so easy, right?
Yeah, and that is the advantage we have, not only as food creators, but online content creators as well, too, because we can put anything that we use into our videos, into our content as well, too.
Yeah. Create that intrigue and make people ask you about it.
Yeah, the funny thing is, not funny thing, but the interesting thing is when I published the Vibrant Caribbean Pot physical cookbook, one of the things, it would be lost on my social media, but one of the things I did was I asked people to take a picture with my cookbook in a sort of a famous location where they live. And I had people at the Sydney Opera, I had people at the Eiffel Tower, I had people at the Leaning
Wow.
Tower of Pisa, I have places in Bahamas, in the US, I had one person outside Disney holding it up. And that sort of showing me where you are with my cookbook, it created a sort of a demand for it as well, because people saw it as being important, as something we want to have as well too.
Yeah, all over the world. So people are going to want it more. It's so cool. Okay, what other ideas do you have for monetizing, Chris?
Over the years, I have worked with sort of menu consultation, where someone has an idea for a restaurant, they want to open a Caribbean restaurant, and the first offer I had was in Dubai. Unfortunately, I had to pass up on that one because they wanted me to come out to Dubai for 6 months to help set up
Whoa.
the menu, to help with train the chefs and all those things. I'm like, I cannot leave my home here in Canada and move to Dubai for
Yeah.
6 months. So, they say 6 months, but in reality, it could have been longer as well, too. But menu consultation, I've worked with a couple restaurants locally here in Toronto where they wanted tips on some of the food that we're going to have on the menu. And they hired me and another chef friend of mine. We went in, we fine-tuned the recipes for them, and now it's on their menu in the restaurant, doing really good. The reviews have been really good. So menu consultation is one of those sort of areas that, and if you're in the food scene, you can tap into that as well too. The thing though, Megan, is what you have to do is when writing your content, when doing your content, you have to come across as someone who is, you're like the professor in that sort of thing, that sort of niche kind of thing. So because of the amount of recipes I have on CaribbeanPod.com, because I have such a huge following online across all the social media platforms, people see me as the authority on Caribbean food. And that in itself sells me to restaurants for them to come to me and say, well, we want to do this. And, we spoke earlier there about sauces, the pepper sauce that I spoke about. I've had people come up to me and say, well, we've used your recipe and we sell it now. And I'm like, yeah, you guys should be hitting me a little $10 or something. Hit me a little change,
Absolutely.
man. Yeah. But again, menu consultation, huge opportunity.
So people come to you because you are so well known with your niche, in your niche. Do you ever go to restaurants and Or does it always work the other way around?
We haven't contacted any restaurants yet. There wasn't anyone that I actively wanted to work with, but that can all change because at some point I'm thinking one day I will open my own restaurant. I've been warned about it. You don't want to go down that road because you have the freedom of working from home. All I need is a space to cook and a camera. And I was in Serbia of all places, and I was filming video over there. I went to stay a couple of weeks with my friends, and I filmed videos out there. So taking away that sort of freedom is something I'm very worried about, but I'm also saving my sort of best recipes for if I do want to open a restaurant. So this is why I don't go to people, I don't go to restaurants. If they want me and they want to work on a certain menu, I will work with them on their idea, putting their idea into sort of reality.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, other ideas, Chris?
Food tours and culinary experiences.
Ooh, talk more about that.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to be in Italy, I think prior to COVID. I think it was a year before COVID. And I saw all these people out there traveling just to experience food from the region. So this is why we're in talks now with a tour company to take people down to the Caribbean, give them that true taste of the Caribbean, whether it's Jamaica or, and that's the beauty about the Caribbean is that every island, while we are all Caribbean at heart, we have our sort of nuances, our uniqueness about every island. And if I were to take people to Trinidad and Tobago or Cuba or Dominican Republic, if I were to take people to Jamaica and offer that sort of food tour. Now, it doesn't have to be that far. It can be something local. We can do a Caribbean food tour right here in Toronto, which is an hour west of Hamilton, where I live. Right here in Hamilton, I can do a food tour as well because people see me as the authority on food. So it's easy for me to sell just about anything to them, organize and lead culinary tours to the Caribbean. And it doesn't, food doesn't have to be just about what you eat per se from a restaurant or something. It can be a market. I was in Barcelona, and man, the markets there are just incredible. I was down in Seoul, South Korea. Same thing. The night markets are just incredible. And having that person to take me around and show me with the native language and everything else opened up my eyes for all these culinary tours that potentially can happen.
Is this something you could just scope out on Facebook, or how would you gather people to create a tour if you've never done it before?
I would say so. Yeah, tap into your sort of community, whether it's Facebook. Actually, Facebook would be the prime example. You go on there, and it's going to start small, obviously, but you join those groups that people who are into food, and they call themselves foodies and stuff. You tap into those sort of communities on Facebook. You create your tour, and you start small, maybe 5 people, and then you move up to 10 people, or how many people that you think you can accommodate. And in partnership, I took a local food tour here in Burlington a few years ago, and the tour guide, he worked directly with the restaurants, so he got X amount of dollars for bringing in customers to their restaurants, and in turn they created a special menu, a sort of tasting menu when we went. So you work hand in hand with those restaurants as well too. And a lot of you look at Toronto, you look at Burlington, you look at Hamilton, we all have that restaurant week or a few days a year when the restaurants try to attract people. Try to tap into that as well. But you're so correct. I would tap into social media first, advertise it on the Facebook, and your community, your friends are the ones who will be your first customers. And by word of mouth, it will grow from then.
Yeah, that's such a unique experience too. That's something that people just love. They love that in-person human experience, enjoying food together. That is just so appealing, I think, for so many people.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so cool. I am so inspired by all of those, Chris. Thank you for all of this. Okay, you have more though. What else do you have?
Earlier I sort of hinted on AI, and when I first started seeing it, I'm like, well, it's going to take the human away from things. It's going to take my sort of need for people wanting recipes from Chris at CaribbeanPod.com. Because if you typed in whatever device, jerk chicken, there's going to be so many recipes generated from AI. But rather than see it as something that's going to shut me down, I've seen it as something that I need to tap into. And, I'm in talks right now with a company, and I really can't name names because contracts haven't been signed and everything else. But I've tapped into that where I'm going to be the sort of voice for that AI. And when I say voice, I use it loosely, not my actual voice, but bringing my recipes and my take on Caribbean culinary culture onto their platform. So working with AI. The other thing I've used AI for is once I create a video to upload to YouTube or Instagram or wherever it is, I usually use an AI tool to help me generate the title, the potential title for that recipe. And what I have noticed over the sort of 5 or 6 months I've been testing it, those AI titles have increased my video views by about 7%.
Ooh.
Even deeper, the went up 3% of new non-subscribers watching my videos as well too. So using that new technology and embracing new technology, I strongly advise for it. The other thing is, QR codes. If you want to direct people to your website, once you post a picture on your socials, include a QR code that they can scan that takes them back to your website. If your whole thing is to drive traffic to your website, do so. Use a QR code that they can take them directly to the recipe. The other thing I have tapping into is, a lot of times you go to everyday grocery store, and that's the beauty about it. I am not asking you to go to a different grocery store. You can go to an everyday grocery store, buy the same ingredients that you normally buy, but at caribbeanpot.com, I'm teaching you how to potentially use those same ingredients with a different technique of cooking. When you go to these grocery stores, sometimes you may see an interesting ingredient like plantain or mangoes or different types of hot peppers or whatever. I am speaking to grocery stores to put a little QR code on the bottom where those items are, that a potential customer can scan that and they can find a recipe or information on that item, and they can point them back to caribbeanpot.com. So again, using technology to bring people back to my website in collaboration with the grocery stores who gets their product sold at the end of the day by informing people, one, how they can use it, and two, what the product is about.
So creative and things that I don't think a lot of us would think of. I love all of this. I so strongly believe that people who embrace the changes, especially with technology advancing the way it is, are going to be the ones who move forward more quickly.
Yeah, and I worked in partnership with Side Chef
Oh,
about
yeah,
way
yeah.
back in 2020, and I'm not sure if I was one of the first people, but I can definitely say I am the first person with Caribbean content to have an Alexa skill developed for me with my recipes. So an Alexa skill is like an app that runs on your Amazon device that, there I am teaching you how to cook with this Alexa skill.
Yep. There are so many ways to embrace technology and to incorporate your brand and your content into it, I think. Okay. Anything else you have for us, Chris?
Yeah, this one is one I'm very passionate about because it will help cut back on waste. I hate food waste. I hate seeing so much food being wasted when there's so many people around the world who just don't have access to food. And it is, tapping into like ghost kitchens where people local to me who know me and who want to taste Chris can be part of things. And I have a friend in Trinidad and Tobago who does it, and he has a WhatsApp list where he sends out a menu at the end of the week, I think like Thursday, and you have to respond by Sunday of food items that he'll be cooking and preparing that you can pre-order, thus creating less waste. So you have zero waste because you know who's going to be buying and you know how much you're going to need. So you don't have to, worry about wasting food. But essentially, I'm giving people the opportunity to buy cooked food from me, and rather than trying to build a kitchen and all of the overhead and everything else, there's so many ghost kitchens out there that you can use now, and to make it legit and to follow all the requirements of health and food safety, I will have to do that. But creating that mailing list via WhatsApp or whatever sort of format that you want, and offering people a taste of what you do But I'm going to go a little bit different than my friends where they cater to everyone. But I'm thinking I'm going to cater more to the sort of retired community where they don't have the ability to cook anymore, or the children want mom and dad. They're older now. We want them to eat. We want food delivered to them. So I'm going to partner with a food delivery company so I can give people the opportunity to buy food locally here from me.
That is so cool. Okay, so where ghost kitchens? I've never heard that term before. Where do you find a ghost kitchen?
If the funny thing is, it's out there. If you type ghost kitchen into your Google, you will see them come up. And essentially what it is, it's a kitchen, a community kitchen run by an organization, whatever organization it would be, where you rent space in there, time and space, and they would allocate storage for you, maybe freezer space, fridge space, and you can go in there. It's been health and safety standards usually go in and they monitor everything and they make sure everything is up to par for safe food handling and all that. And you rent that space in there and you use the kitchen, and from there you can distribute to whoever your customers are. And they became popular here in Canada during COVID, where most of the traditional restaurants were closed down and people were like, okay, we're going to go to a ghost kitchen and we're going to start making our food there and shipping it out from these ghost kitchens.
So cool. I just Googled it. Yes, they're a thing. Like tons of search things came up. So wow, thank you for sharing that.
Ghost kitchens are out there, and it's a great opportunity. Even if you want to do, and we spoke earlier about physical products and stuff like that. If you wanted to do your spice blend, if you wanted to do a hot sauce or maybe a jam or a jelly or a pickle or something, to be able to get that quality control and to abide by local laws and everything else, you can use those ghost kitchens to create your products as well too. So you don't need to go out and spend a ton of money on these big canning pots and huge stove and pans and everything. It's all provided there for you. It's just you pay a small fee to be able to use it. And how often would you be doing? You do your first batch of hot sauce or whatever it is you want to do, and then maybe in another couple of months, you schedule more time and you go back in there. Thus, you don't need to spend a ton of money to create your products as well.
So cool. Thank you for that. I think people are going to find that extremely valuable. So this was all really inspiring, Chris. Seriously, such new perspectives and information. I so appreciate all of this. Are we missing anything before we start saying goodbye?
I think we covered pretty much all that I can think about, all from my experience and the sort of direction that I'm heading to. I think we're good.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you so much for being here. Do you have a favorite quote or words of inspiration to leave us with?
I have two. And the reason for two is one takes me back to being a little boy on the islands. Our mom would always tell us to put our best foot forward, meaning to always give our best in everything that we do. And that is something, my mantra for my entire life. And I think it's the same for my brother and sisters. And the second one is, as content creators, and we touched on it earlier briefly when you spoke about burnout. Gabrielle Union said, if you prioritize yourself, you're going to save yourself. And that is so true. Prioritize yourself. Yes, social media will always be there, content will always be there, but if you're not healthy, if you're not in a good space, it will reflect in what you do and your capability to do things and to build out your business. So prioritize yourself.
Amen to that. That is one of my personal things that I live by. So love that you ended that way. We'll put together a show notes page for you, Chris. If you want to peek at those, head to eatblogtalk.com/Caribbean pot. Tell everyone where they can find you, Chris.
CaribbeanPod.com. I think I plugged myself so many times on this podcast.
That's great.
I hope I didn't break any records here, but CaribbeanPod.com. If you want to learn a little bit more from the business side of me, you can head over to ChrisDelaRosa.com. Those are my two websites.
Go check out Chris's lovely smile and inviting food and photography. It's such a beautiful site. So yeah, I hope everyone goes to check that out. And thank you so much again for being here, Chris, truly. And thank you for listening, food bloggers. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Eat Blog Talk. Please share this episode with a friend who would benefit from tuning in. I will see you next time.